Welcome back to the Beat the Often Path podcast, the show where we feature unusual success stories to help us all think outside the box in our lives and in our careers. My guest today is Norman Lenden of the Trance pioneer group Mark Norman. For nearly a decade, he played some of the world's largest festivals, Tomorrowland, Trance Energy, you name it, and he toured the globe professionally. Now that he's a father, he's transitioned into his new role as marketing manager for RAI Amsterdam, one of the largest event centers in the Netherlands. Norman is a great friend and he's a very talented person, and today we talk about following your passions, plural, career transitions, and coming out on top after periods of uncertainty. Not only that, but he was kind enough to lend me his new track for the intro music of this episode, Step Into the Future. It's a world premiere right here that he's letting me use, so I'm very grateful for that. Here is Norman Lenden in the house. Norman Lenden joining me on the podcast. How is it going, Norman?
Well, doing fine, Ross. Thank you. Very nice and honored that you invited me for your podcast. Cool.
The pleasure is all mine. You have been up to some really cool stuff. I knew you way back in the day as first Mark Norman, the producer from In Search of Sunrise and various compilations, right? Tiesto compilations and the Trance days. But that was before I ever met you. I'd listened to your music, and then we met in The Hague many years ago and wrote some music together with a British guy, as I recall.
Yeah, new world. I'm still actually make music with him.
Really? He was a cool guy.
I'm still doing, yeah.
He's a really nice dude. Great at writing lyrics.
Yeah, maybe I can show you later on some new tunes. I think you'll like it. It's more with an 80s sound on it, 80s feel.
I have no doubt that I will. Yeah, and cool. you were one of the first people that I would see. I saw you in your studio for those listening, and you had these little KRK, I think they were rocket speakers, these tiny little speakers in your little studio, making music at a very quiet volume, just barely audible, making music, doing all your chops, your loops, and it was fascinating to watch your process. It was really cool to see you make music. But
you also make music. You still make music, Rod?
I do from time to time, but I sort of also switched gears in my own life a little bit away from music as my full-time thing. Yeah. We moved to LA and a lot changed in our life, and I was making my money doing marketing and helping startups and building businesses and that kind of thing, and the DJ thing kind of drifted away a little bit over time. Also, I didn't really want to be traveling when my daughter was born. I didn't really want to live that lifestyle. So I sort of drifted away. Not that I don't think about it all the time, or sometimes think that I wish I was doing more of it. But that's something that we can talk about on this episode, since I think it might appeal to a lot of people. But give everybody like an overview of your career. How did you get where you are today? What's the overview?
Well, actually, it's quite a funny story, because nowadays I'm not. I'm still a musician, but I'm not doing it for a living anymore, because now I work as a marketing manager for a big venue. I think the biggest venue in Holland, the RAI Amsterdam. But back in the days, where you know my music from, I was, as a 14-year-old kiddo, I was really interested in the whole process of making music. So I started out with cutting tapes, the old school tapes, and that's why I enjoyed it so much in doing that. That when I grow up further, I bought sample keyboards and samplers from my savings back in the days, and then I started making music really with little equipment, but I really enjoyed it doing it. And when I became older, when I was going to study, and I went to another place in Holland, I started organizing parties, dance events back in the days, which was quite new at that time. And there I met a lot of DJs, like Eric E. Tiesto at the beginning of his career. And it was really interesting to see how those DJs were, how do you say that in a good English? They were creating such an atmosphere in a club, which I really admired and which I was really fond of. So that's why I decided, okay, one day when I become a big guy, grow old, I want to become a DJ. And that's how it all started, with a strongly inner belief. Okay, I want to grow as a DJ. I want to become a DJ. And then my path came around. I came Mark, from Mark Norman, became friends, and we started making music together, and we were sending out demos. And then at a certain point, the record company came and they said, okay, you guys, you make awesome music. Can we speak? And then it all started.
Yep.
And the path, I started, as a small kid, and then grow into the scene, played out at big festivals. Yeah, but it was quite a path.
Quite a path indeed. And how long were you a professional DJ full time or musician?
Yeah, I think from in a period from 2001 till 2010.
Okay, 9 years.
Yeah, and I played the biggest festivals, like Mysteryland. I played Tomorrowland in the early stage, and now it's really became huge. I played it 2 times. I played Trance Energy, Dance Valley. I traveled the world, played the biggest festivals out there. Went up on tour to Australia, to America, to the United States. Even in Los Angeles, I played a few times.
Cool.
San Diego, it was quite, it was quite awesome. Really, I was really at the forefront of the scene nowadays. And nowadays it's really became huge, with the big festivals everywhere in the States. So
you had tremendous success in what was obviously a very different world and a very different scene than the music scene is today. But I think what is so fascinating, and again, speaks to sort of the idea of this podcast, but it's fascinating when people stop doing these things. And I think in the last several years, we've seen a lot of people who had the dream and nobody can understand, people who want the dream, nobody can understand why anybody would ever leave the dream. Like Avicii touring all these shows, he kills himself. Why? Nobody can understand that winning the game could possibly be anything but glamour or fun or parties all the time. So after a really great career, doing all kinds of awesome stuff, getting your music on all kinds of the biggest compilations, what prompted you to switch gears in 2010?
Well, actually, you will talk about glamour, and a lot of people think that the whole DJ life is the coolest life you can ever imagine. But, when you're not in the top league like an Armin and Tiesto, a lot of DJs who are below that, sometimes they're struggling, to get the right bookings, to get the nice bookings. And I've been there, I played the biggest festivals, but I also played a lot of clubs which were empty or not enough people, less people. So it was sometimes struggling. And also the traveling became really, exhausted sometimes. It was always when you go travel around the world, and it was nice because I met a lot of people. But on the other hand, at the end of my career, I made some decisions, because my style. I was, we created a lot of tech trance tunes back in the days, and at a certain point they asked for us, okay, can you remix a track in a housey feeling style? So we did it with Celine, Color My Eyes, and that track also became really popular. And then we thought, me and Mark, we can produce everything. And that was one of the choices, the really bad choice we made back in the days, it wasn't right to do that, because our fans, our people, they knew us from the tech trance style, but we made a decision to produce different styles. So it was confusing for a lot of people. So that was one of the things which was, when I look back, not the clever thing to do. And also the bookings, they became less. So sometimes, it was really, okay, is there still enough money coming in to live the nice life? So, and me and Mark both studied. We had a degree. And I was thinking, okay, I'm becoming older. What's wise to do? I'm still producing, still DJing, in the hope we will hit the Champions League, for example, level, or become older, and then at a certain point you're not interesting anymore for the scene, and they say goodbye. And then what? You don't have experience in the work field. So it was a really hard decision to leave the music scene. But when I look back, I think it's a really one of the best decisions I've ever made, because now music, I still make music. I still have my studio, and I'm still going every week, twice a week, to the studio to make music. But now it become more an hobby. It all started with as a hobby, and now it's become a hobby again.
Yeah.
But you don't have the pressure now to make music, to make hits, So I think, to be honest, the music became better, because in the end of my career, it was really hard to produce the same tracks again and again and again. So it was hard for us.
That's fascinating that you say that, because I think that's something that a lot of people can understand. You
Yeah.
know, especially as you age, you get older, things are different. Also, the pressure of being creative is very, very difficult. Nobody understands that. And also, you know, you get into all of these creative things because, like you said, you have a feeling there's something inside of you that wants to come out, and you make music. And that's the why I made music for years and years, just because I wanted to express myself, because I love dance music, not the money or the scene. I hate the scene. I love the music. But you do that, and then at a certain point, people say like, okay, do this, put it into this box, shape it like this, or you know, package it this way, and then a lot of that freedom and flexibility that you had disappears.
Yeah, true that. And also, when it's your profession, you have to bring money in, yeah, because we were with the two of us, me and Mark. So you had to produce the tunes, you had to produce the DJ gigs. So it was really a sort of company. But when money is not coming in anymore, it became hard, because then you feel the pressure. Okay, I have to make music to bring some money in. So yeah, it's a circle, as you know what I mean. And creativity means that when you are creative, in my case, I have to be empty in my head. I don't want to feel pressure because then I'm stuck. There's nothing coming out. But when you're free, then the creativity is going everywhere.
That's very true. And I think another thing that people don't understand is the practicalities, because like you said, you're flying. If things are going well, you're in an airplane all the time, and you have to pay, let's say, 20% of whatever you earn to your booking agent or manager. So you have to earn 20% above what you need so that you can take off their fee and you still have enough. You have to make sure you have enough that after all the flights and all of the accommodations, you still have money. And then this is all, of course, pre-tax. So in the end, you could start with 200,000 euros a year or something like that, but then it gets chipped down and chipped down. So the volume of gigs that you have to sustain yourself at the mid-level is probably a lot more than people realize, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, true that. And I started in a period when I produced music. We had the final. My first tracks were released on vinyl. So the earnings from the finals were much more than when we had the transition, when we went to digital. So there was a huge difference to when you look to your earnings. So there was also for us okay, how does that goes? And it's not all about getting the money in and the right money in, but I think it's a whole. It's like a whole. How do you say that in the right thing? It's like a process,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I explain it.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then let's go to the point. So the moment where you decide, okay, because you're producing with a partner, you are looking at the business and you're saying, okay, maybe this is something that we need to stop. 2010. Very hard decision, I know, because you're always going to be thinking about it. That's something to me as well, especially because, I played, when you have memories of people screaming, like I played a gig in China with like thousands of people screaming, like it's hard to get rid of these memories emotionally. It's hard to just say, okay, now I'm going to go live in a cubicle for the rest of my life. It's very, very emotionally hard to say goodbye to this, even though I think you can make a smart decision and you can make the right decision. So when you finally made that decision to transition, what happened next?
What happened next? Yeah, it was really fun because I started a daytime job at the end of my DJ career. So a part-time job, daytime job. So I worked 3 days a week for a company, big company, Stage Entertainment. It's also a musical company in the Netherlands. And on the other hand, I was 3 days a DJ. So in the weekends, I was flying to Thailand or to China, and then I came back and I went to the office on Tuesday till Thursday, and then Friday, the whole process repeats. But there was also 1 year from 2010 till 2011, and then I experienced, okay, it's not working, because to be honest, it was not my decision to step out of the music scene. It was more a sort of factors of things which came together, and then
beyond your control.
Yeah, it was out of my control and a bit out of my control, but a lot of things were going on. Okay, what to do, and it went like this. because I thought, okay, and also if I want to succeed in my work career, I have to make hours, in the office, and I have to get some experience. Otherwise, at a certain age, you're too old to come into the work life. So that was always a thing in my head, and maybe because I'm raised like that, sort of conditioned. But it was always for me a thing to make flight hours to get experience, to become also a marketing professional, which I really like, because I was always working with marketing back in the days when I was a musician. But then, to do two things and to succeed in two different things. On one way in a daily work job, and on the other hand, as a musician, it wasn't like that, because if you want to succeed, you have to focus. Same as when you're into the music, you can succeed if you focus. And then after a year, I said, okay, it's not gonna work anymore. Don't gonna fly to wherever on the planet, and then the next day, the next 2 days, go to my daily job, because my walls were like here, it was too tiring.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So then what happened then? So you said, okay, that's it. I'm going to stop.
Well, I got to stop music for now, for a year. And then I went into a daily job, 4 days a week. And then my son, my firstborn son was born in 2011. And he's now 9 years old. So then, you know how it is when you become a father, the whole world is changing.
Everything changes.
And when I look back, music was always one of the most important things in my life. But in 2011, the most important thing happened in my life, and that was when my son was born, firstborn son. Beautiful.
I completely know.
And then something in my head was, okay, this is your focus for the rest of your life. Well, I think now it's a bit different, but then at that time it was okay. Yeah, and that's how it goes, because I thought, okay, now I'm a father. I became a father. I feel the responsibility for him and for my wife also. And it's okay, I have to succeed in my job. And then I start working 4 days a week, 5 days a week. I made some career switches. And nowadays I work as a marketing manager for the RAI in Amsterdam, which I really like. And also my 2 younger daughters were born, so I'm now father of 3. Still happy with my wife. Totally different life. But also I started making music again a few years ago, and I never stopped making music, but the focus was gone. But the last years, I really feel that the energy is coming back, and also the motivation and my drive is getting there. So and I'm also seeing Mark a lot of the times the last few years. So we are now preparing maybe for something new. Who knows, in 2021? I don't know.
Cool.
Because also the whole Corona of the whole COVID pandemic. I was thinking, well, what is really important in life? Follow your dreams, follow your feelings, and I think when I look really deep inside, your family is the most important thing. And then, my wife is coming down.
Cool.
But it's really important to follow your dreams, and I think music has also something in my heart, So that's what I really want to show the world, what we can do and what we are maybe up for.
Very exciting, and that brings up a very interesting point. So, follow your dreams. Advice that we hear. Do you think it's possible for your dream to change over the course of your life? Or do you think that one thing this is a dream?
No, I think you can have a lot of dreams, because, I also organize some parties, still organizing dance parties here, because I like it to do. But that's what I told you earlier. If you believe something, if you feel something, if you want to do something, you can achieve everything you want, but you have to feel it. You have to feel it. And that is something you can't fake. That's what I experience. You can't say, okay, I want to now become a professional truck driver.
Yeah.
If you don't feel it, you won't become it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything you do, if you have a really strong belief, you're gonna read some manuals how to become a driver, and when you feel it, you are also motivated to learn and to experience and to meet other people and talk about it.
And so in that transition period, would you say that you were motivated by a vision, 2011, or was it more just practically, I have to get good at this? Or were you feeling it then or not?
No, I was not feeling at that moment. No, because what I told you earlier, my son was born, and I felt okay. Now this is important. I was struggling. Um, when you can imagine when you come from a life where it was all glamour and glitter and living the bright side of life, then suddenly you're 3 days or 4 days a week in an office
Yeah.
doing the type work, and calling with people. And it was totally different because I had a manager said, "You have to do this, you have to do that." I said, "Okay, why?" But yeah, you after a period, you accept it and you grew into it. So it was okay. And then I'm always a person who see things differently than other people. I think sometimes because that's how I'm how I am. I think because I'm curious always and always asking with people from how do you do it, do that, or do you do this. I'm always I always want to learn new things. And I'm always open for new things to experience myself or with people.
Okay. So do you feel that through the work that you were doing, the passion came, like you developed it over the course of doing it? How long did that
Yeah.
take?
Well, how
Because
long does
that's
it take? I
interesting
don't know.
right there.
What I really experienced in my work life is that the experience which I had from my music life, I could express it in my work, and that's really a good thing to do because I always, as certainly for marketeers and marketing managers, the music scene is upfront to the corporate scene. If you know what I mean, because in the music industry there are always happening new things. We're always busy with innovation, doing things differently.
True.
And in work life, especially in corporate life, there's not so much creativity when you compare it with the music industry. And that's always what I in my work life. That was my value. I brought value on that level.
Right.
So I brought music into the corporate world where I worked back in the days, which was quite nice to do.
And I think you brought up a good point too about, DJs and musicians so far ahead in terms of social media, in terms of content creation, because you have to be. The
Yeah,
trends, they have to be there. And that's an interesting point. It's a completely different style of marketing as well. I don't know if you follow Coldplay at all, but they just recently dropped a new single. And I saw their little marketing campaign about this whole thing. It was pretty fascinating because they had an alien language website. This was just a couple days ago, Friday. But they had an alien language website where you had to tune in to a certain frequency on this little map, and then it was playing alien sounds and it was teasing. It's all that kind of stuff, They don't do that in the corporate world.
no, because they will do that when they see when it's successful in the music industry, and then after 4 or 5 years, they say, "Hey, I've got something new." Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you're further in the music industry. Because now I'm thinking what I've seen with the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, to think, okay, how can we use those cryptos into the corporate world to create something really valuable for our customers? But in
Absolutely.
that process, I'm trying to rethink myself sometimes. Okay, how can we connect different industries together to create value for our end customers? And
Sure.
it's really good fun.
So what was the path then that led you to marketing for RAI? So maybe just give us the steps
The
from.
steps. Well,
Yeah.
what I told you before, I was after my DJ life. I worked at Stage Entertainment. It's
Mm-hmm.
really a big production company from the Netherlands, which creates musicals worldwide. I started there as a marketeer, and after 3 years, I left the company to because I live in The Hague, and I worked in Amsterdam, and it's about 1.5 hour drive. So when my firstborn son was born, I was looking for a job nearby my hometown because I didn't want to travel that much. So then I became a marketeer at a company called MBD Biblion in Zoetermeer, which is nearby The Hague. I started there as a marketeer and did some really nice jobs, and then I grew into manager, marketing and communications. I worked there for about 5 years and really did some really nice things like big websites, big magazines, but also big events nationwide, which was quite okay. But it was really a different industry. It was more in the libraries and schooling. So you can imagine the difference between music industry and libraries. So it was really a weird combination. But for me, it was okay because I was living nearby my home, working nearby home and close to my kids and my family. And the job I had was really nice because I could experience with some things. And then after a period, I was thinking, okay, I worked there for 5 years, and I said, okay, this is not my industry because I did my thing, but I need, when you come from the music industry, I need some more action. So then I became a marketing manager at the RAI, which is a big event company in Amsterdam. But the moment I started my first working day there, it was brilliant because then I felt, okay, I'm on the right place again. In event industry, there's a lot of rumors. We do a lot of cool events, music events, but also exhibitions. But there's a lot of stuff going on, which I felt as a person who I am. I felt comfortable with.
So you just knew. You said, "This is it. I feel at home once again."
Yeah, exactly.
That's an amazing feeling. And how long ago was that? When did you start?
Well, that's all. I think it's 5 years ago now.
5 years ago. Okay.
I started there in 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the day-to-day of your job then? What is a typical day? I mean, obviously now, pandemic aside, like we'll forget about that for a minute. But what is your job like?
Yeah, well, my role is to position our venue in the world. As it's a sort of function where you have to promote the venue worldwide to attract customers, and in particularly organizers from big events to come to Amsterdam and to organize their exhibitions or their conferences or the exhibitions. Really big events. Like for example, we had the AIDS conference, the big AIDS conference in Amsterdam 2 years ago.
Okay.
Also, we do shows for Martin Garrix or really other big exhibitions with lots of people like IBC, Integrated Broadcast Systems.
So it's all over the map. So it's sometimes conferences, sometimes shows, sometimes corporate events. So everything. Yeah. Well, that's good variety to keep you interested.
Yeah. So my role is to promote that worldwide, which is quite nice. But and what I say, because it's a lot of variety, it makes me going on.
I completely understand. Yeah, you need that excitement. So what does the job actually do? Like what do you actually have to? You're on the phone most of the time. Are you writing emails? What's the meat of the work?
No, that is more when I look to my role particularly. I try to create campaigns, from scratch. Think, how is the market? Do research on where the people, how can we add value to their questions? If a big organizer, for example, in America, wants to bring their events to Europe, what's his question? Why does he want to come to Europe? How can we help him to achieve his how do you call it? Doelstellingen.
Goals.
The goals, How can he achieve his goals? Yeah, through that.
That's cool. So, how many shows are you trying to arrange in a year?
Well, I work close with the business development team, and they are doing the sales job. So they're closing the deals. But we have targets. But how much? This is weird now because we're now in the COVID time.
Right.
Well, we try to bring a lot of big events over to Holland, to Amsterdam, actually. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I was going to ask, obviously the events business hit hardest, of course, by the pandemic. How has
Yeah.
that been the last year?
Yeah, it was really hard because our doors are closed since March 2020. So we had a big reorganization.
Yep.
I think 1/3 of the people that they left us. So we had there were about 450 people, and now about 300. So yeah, a lot of colleagues they left us, which was really hard to see and difficult. But yeah, you have to go on, and we try a lot of new things to do. We created a COVID-proof event concept, but we hadn't had the chance to demonstrate it. We had some demo days, but we're still waiting for government rules to say, okay, you can do it now. But yeah, it's still hard.
Do they have any concept of the timeline? Do you have any idea when?
Concepts, but not a real event.
Oh wow.
Yeah, now our venue is open for vaccination and testing.
Okay.
The COVID testing. So yeah, we're helping our society, Amsterdam, the city of Amsterdam, to
That's very helpful. That's very helpful. And soon, I guess I know that there's a lot of backlash about this, but people will be able to go to events if they have their vaccine card, right? That's something that's being discussed over there.
Yeah. That's all things which is ruled by the government. So
okay,
we'll see how it happens. But yeah, if I look to the society and the 1.5 meter distance events, I don't believe it's gonna work, because when you go to an event, you want to. Yeah, it's not gonna work on a 1.5 meter, I think. But it's my personal view on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And of course, when there's alcohol involved or anything like that, forget about it.
Go to a festival with a 1.5 meter. No one is doing it.
Yep. So, do you feel that you've achieved some kind of a balance in your life? Do you feel comfortable about where you are in the work-life balance at the moment?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. And sometimes when I look into my heart, I think about the time when I was traveling the world as a DJ. And sometimes I say, "Whoa, yeah, that was really awesome to do." And still my colleagues, where I tell my story, they always, "Why do you work here at our place? Why are you not in the DJ life anymore?" But then I explain them how it goes, and sometimes, but I'm really happy with my life at the moment. I have 3 healthy kids, a beautiful wife.
Yep.
I can do my thing. I can make my music. I still make music. I still organize parties, so there's more freedom in my head, And what I told you before, when you're having kids, your focus is changing. Sometimes when I was entering the DJ life, I was 22, 23. Mm-hmm. You're in a whole other position, of a whole other level in your life at that time.
And you don't mind partying and all of that stuff.
No, I was partying every weekend, every day, to be honest. Yeah,
it takes a physical toll. At a certain point, you realize that it's not healthy either, right? Not only the flying, but being hungover all the time is not healthy.
Yeah, true that. And what I think too, you have to be, that maybe as colleague marketeer, when you selling your product, you have to be in the market. Same when you're DJing, you have to be, you have to know which record is gonna hit it on the floor. And when you're not into it anymore, it's really difficult, because I play sometimes. Mm-hmm. People ask me to play, okay, and then I go, and then I really have to prepare myself, because I have to go to Beatport to buy the tunes, to call my colleague DJ van, hey, do you have some new cool promos? And they send me, and I'm listening. But to be honest, the crap, there's a lot of crap coming out now at Beatport. I checked it sometimes, but it's horrible, to be honest. It looks like everyone who can make music, they upload it and they sell it. Well, I think it's the sometimes I feel like the soul is out of it, because it's now really became more easy to produce music, and I think that's cool, because a lot of people can also become an artist or a DJ, whatever. But sometimes it looks like everything sounds the same, to be honest. If there's one big grid which they copy and fill it.
I was going to say, everything is very templatized now.
Exactly, and original.
Yeah, and there's so many rules now, but they're bad rules about what a genre is supposed to be. They're all the same. And
Yeah.
there was way more flexibility back in the days before all of these rules. I completely agree. And that's something, I mean, it's like when you get older, you say that. I'm sure that our parents' generation are like, you had to be there when Jimi Hendrix was, at Woodstock or whatever. But
No, but
I do believe that it's true. The creativity was way higher a couple
yeah,
decades
and I know
ago.
because when we released music on vinyl, it has to be really good. Otherwise, it was a financial lose
Hmm.
if the vinyl wasn't selling. But nowadays, you can upload it for free. So the production cost of a download is I think it's nothing.
Yep.
But the production cost of selling 1,000 or 1,500, pressing 1,500 vinyls, that's a lot of money. So they had to sell it. So I think the standard, I don't say it was better at the time, but it was different. It was a different process to achieve the biggest hit. And also, what I liked back in the days was the promotion of the white labels. Nowadays, when you release a tune, after 2 weeks, it's gone.
Yep.
But back in the days, you know how it was when you had a white label, and I was going to a festival and I heard Carl Cox playing a tune, and everyone was, "Oh, where the best? What record was it?" It was longer. The how do you say it? The tune, the buzz around the tune was
the
takes
life,
much more.
the record lasted longer. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that was an interesting thing as well. Yeah, the whole process was different. I watched an interview. DJ Mag had an interview with Faithless, one of the most iconic groups. Their song "Insomnia" was doing the rounds as a white label for over a year before it blew up. And then people kept asking for it, and they're like, "What is that melody?" And then finally, it became a hit, which you would never imagine. That's hard to believe that could happen these days. It's like if it doesn't go somewhere in the first 24 hours, it's done.
And that's why I believe in the NFT, the non-fungible tokens, because when we can create a digital project and makes it unique, I see there's maybe hope for the music industry, which I really embrace, because I think that's maybe what it needs, to bring it back, to take it in a different direction. And I think also the internet has become really huge at today's, which was also really good for the position of our music. It brought us very much, which is okay, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I really hope that that the buzz around the tune takes longer, because it's artists, they are putting a lot of effort in it to create something.
Yeah.
Really
yeah,
beautiful.
NFTs are interesting that way. Because content has become so devalued, and especially now. And I was talking to my brother, and he was saying that after the pandemic, he thinks people are even more burned out on content right now because they've been stuck at home consuming content. So a lot of people's business model is also kind of struggling right now, who are producing content, because there's just so much content being made, whether it's video or audio or blogs. There's just so much stuff coming at you 24 hours a day. To stand out in any regard is very difficult in any field, I think.
Yeah, it's really difficult. That's really difficult. Yeah, and that's I'm really curious how that is developing the next decade. But interesting times.
Well, I hope that when things, clear up, people will go back to work. The remote thing will stop, except for the people who are already doing the remote thing, aka me. Anyways, I think, and then it'll go back to a little bit of normal again. But now it's too many people trying to do the same thing right now. Never good.
Yeah, but that's what I experience now from the music. And, to be honest, I'm not every day on Beatport. So, maybe there's also coming a lot of good tunes coming out. That's what I heard too. And a lot of cool new artists, especially also in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Which that makes me also really interesting to combine styles. To be honest, I'm now working with a friend of mine who's a hip hop artist to create a hip hop project. Totally something different than the dance I did back in the days. That's one of the projects I'm now working on, and I'm also working on a project with the English bloke you told me before, which is quite okay. And with Mark, my former companion. So we're trying to create a sort of live act, semi-live act with singing and with old old school machines. So we had it back in the days in a really analog studio, and I sold a lot of stuff and go into a digital studio. But what I told you before, a few years ago, I got more inspiration, so I was starting to sell, or to buy again the new analog machines. So it's getting back to analog again, which I really prefer to do.
Yeah, I agree. I like the sound of that stuff way more. It's just different. You can hear it, more organic.
Yeah, but I think the combination, between digital and analog makes it really interesting to create something new.
Well, I'm really excited to hear what you've got coming. I wanted to get a little practical here. So, some people out there, and again, there's stages of life. Some people out there might be that 20-year-old guy who loves dance music. They might be listening to this right now. So, what advice do you have for somebody who wants to, let's say, start a career in dance music or as a DJ or a producer?
Well, how I started, believe in it and do what you like. I was when I was 14 years, when I came back from school during the week, I always went into my little studio and was making music. That was my life. To sometimes I go out but I was always working on it. Because I really love it. I love what I was doing. When I had a birthday party, my friends always say, "Hey, where's Norman?" And he was in his bedroom making music. Because I was really into it, really eager to produce, to try to new things. And then when I was becoming older, I went to the clubs and was speaking to the DJs, go speak to the DJs, giving the demos, sending demos, go out and speak promoters. So who you are, they have to see you. Who are you? And then give them your music. And that's how it all started with me. But be honest for yourself and do what you like, do what you do, but believe in it.
Because it has to come from the inside. It's not something...
Yeah, and enjoying it.
Right.
You have to enjoy it. If you enjoy it, then it will come.
But if you're doing it just to get rich, or you're doing it just because you want to have a number one hit, you'd say no.
No.
Okay. Yep.
No, I think that's the strongest belief I have, and that's what I try to bring my children. Do what you have to do and enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it then? To become rich or to please me or to please your mom? Try to find out what you like to do, and that's what I
think that's very wise advice.
Yeah.
And along those lines, somebody who maybe did one thing, whether they were a creative professional or they had another career, and somebody who is making a leap. Maybe right now they're making a leap, switching careers, changing to do something new. What advice would you have for that person?
Be patient.
Okay.
Be patient. That's what I did, because what I told you earlier, it was really hard for me. The first years from DJ into the working life, it was, it cost me maybe 2-3 years to accept it.
2-3 years, yeah. And how did you know that you should keep going? Did you have a sign, or was it really just willpower?
How do you mean?
What kept you going in the darker periods? What was your motivation to get up, to do what you have to do? Maybe not feeling it, but feeling that you might feel it one day.
Well, to be honest, I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
No, maybe... I know my wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
That makes me focused. And the other way I was doing, okay, you have to do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to earn money and to go. And then my wife became pregnant, and it's okay. This different phase in your life. But I was working on the music. But it was a really weird time, to be honest. It was a really weird time, confusing also.
Yeah.
Because normally, people, when they go to study, to college or to university, then they are going to work, and then they got a wife or baby. That's the conditioned life for a lot of people. But I was, from my university, I went into the DJ life, which was really weird for a lot of people. What's he going to do? He's going to follow his dream. Well, my friends, they went to the normal, regular daily job, and I was okay. I do now the thing I really like to do, and then after 10 years, I went into the working society. So it was really it was weird. but it was okay.
But I'm sure that you wouldn't, to be very clear, you would have no regrets about doing that because you wouldn't have skipped a step if you could, right? You
No,
wouldn't have fast
no,
forward,
of
right?
course I will do it. No, and I think I will do the same again. But when I was into the DJ life, I lived my life. I was lived, if you know what I mean. But I think if I can do it again, would have taken it more seriously, like an entrepreneur. Okay, cool that now DJ, but where am I over 5 years?
Okay.
And maybe also I was a bit too serious sometimes in my DJ life and had to do what I really. Sometimes I forgot I had to enjoy it, because in the end of my career, I feel, when I looked back to it, I was more busy with side things instead of where it all started, to make nice music, because that was the key, that was the core. And I forgot it sometimes because I was really busy with other things which were important for me at that time. So take it seriously, do what you like, and when you show that in your own thing, then it will become huge.
If you were more entrepreneurial, what do you think you would have done? If you took that part more seriously, what would have been different?
Well, I think more wise with my finance, to be honest, because a lot of money, I don't know where it's gone. On really stupid things, buying new machines or whatever. I don't know, but that also, make it more of a plan. Okay, setting up goals maybe, invest money in some things.
That makes
Doing,
sense.
a lot of more, entrepreneurial things. Yeah, busy with the future instead of busy with the moment. I was living in a moment at that time.
Right.
Too much, maybe.
Too much. Well, you do see that. That's a very classic thing. Obviously, Holland is the country of DJs, of dance music, so it's much more normal than I think most parts of America. Also, the fact that you have free festivals everywhere in all these towns all the time. I mean, it's just a very big part of daily life. But I witnessed so many young DJs in the era where they would get an advance from their publisher or from the record label. They'll get, 10,000, 20,000, maybe even like 50,000 euros as an advance that's supposed to help them with their business. First thing they buy is some watches, gold chains, and a nice car.
Yeah.
And then you wonder where the money goes like 5, 10 years later when the gigs dry up.
Yeah, but it's also when you're young and a bit of you don't have the life experience. When you're becoming older, you all see that from a helicopter view of
Sure.
been there, done that. I can imagine how it was at the time, but it's also I think an important role for a manager to say, okay, nice that you are going to spend all your money on the watches and the cars, but think about it, invest it in good, proper studio equipment, for example, to produce that unique sound. Because then you can make a difference, or do collabs with artists or whatever, but act wise instead of living the
bottle service
DJ or artists. Yeah.
Magnums of champagne at Ushuaia and Ibiza.
Yeah, but it's how it went, and I don't regret it. I really enjoyed it, and when I look back, I still got a smile on my face. It was a great time, and I think I bring it. I can give. I bring the experience I did. I bring it back in my work nowadays, so it's still there, And I've still got more network. I still speak with a lot of people from that time. They become friends, and I still go out sometimes to parties if it's allowed, when it can. I organize still the party. I make music myself, so it's always a part of me. It's never.
It's never not.
It's never lost.
So what then? We've talked a bit about the past. What would be the ideal scenario in the next 5 years? What's your goal now? What's the new dream?
The new dream. Well, to be honest, I don't have dreams that much, but. No, what I told you before, I have 2 projects. The Hippo project, which we're now are giving live. It's a good thing. One of my friend, the Hippo producer, it started really funny because 2 years ago, 3 years ago already, he called me and he said he's got a daughter with the syndrome of Down syndrome, and he asked me for all the rumors in the world about the Down syndrome are really negative, and I want to create a positive message for her. So he asked me to help him to produce a tune, and he said, "Yeah, can you help me out? I've got an instrumental from Biggie, and I want to rap about it." I said, "Oh, we're gonna not use that instrumental track. We're gonna make a track, okay?" So I said, "Okay, cool." So we created in a studio session for him. We bring back, we fly in some musicians, and we created a tune, and we released it on Down Syndrome Day, and it went viral. All the news in the Netherlands, the news companies were getting on it. Whoa, well, fuck! It was really getting huge,
Yeah.
and it was so cool because it also came out of his heart, you know. And that's what I told you earlier. It started with his feeling. And it was. I think your wife sung on it, Maruga. She sung it on the top line. Yeah, she sung on it.
She did. Oh, okay. Wow.
She did. Yeah, she
I
did.
didn't even know. Oh.
Yeah, well, she didn't
That's
tell you.
that's great.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, yeah. Well, but yeah, it was awesome to experience it, and that's yeah. It tastes to more. So we decided, okay, music with a message, society message. I think it's wise to do because we're not that young anymore, and a lot of the rappers who release music, they rap about the cool life, glamour life, and we said, no, maybe we have to choose some subjects which are hot topics in society and create tracks on it. So we have now a few tracks ready, and we're now busy in the process to sending out demos to companies. That's one of my dreams on the music
Cool.
side, and the other dream is I reconnect with Mark, my former companion from Mark Norman, and also with Neil, a friend of us. We produced, I think, almost an album already, and yeah, I want to bring that album also to life. Alleen it's tough because I also have my job, my family, my kids, with all sport things, and so it's hard sometimes to manage it all.
Because you don't want to get all wrapped up in it yet again, and then you end up in that same situation you were in the past.
Exactly.
Because it'd be easy to get going too fast, and then you're like,
to be
feel
honest,
the pressure again.
I don't have target. I don't have a deadline to finish. So I can do it in my own time, and when it's ready, it's ready. So yeah.
So conceptually then, this is a very interesting point. We're almost at the end of this. I think it's a really fascinating story. Very cool, all the stuff that you've been able to do. But conceptually, is it better for somebody to go all in on a creative passion, or do you think keeping a day job and doing it as a hobby makes more sense with what you know now?
Yeah, when I look back and when I look to my own situation, I think when you want to succeed, you have to focus.
All in.
And when it started for us in the music industry back in the days, my record company was giving us money, so we could take the decision. Okay, I don't have to work a year, but from the money they gave us, we could live. We could buy our apartments and paying the rent and doing the groceries. So, but it gave us financial freedom to create the music, and then from that time, 1 year later on, we're it went off.
That's really cool. And I think there's something there that speaks to Dutch and European society. And I do think that there's an upside and a downside, but in America and certainly here in Los Angeles, life is so expensive you just can't even believe. Just to live is so expensive. So if you're going to be here or anywhere in Southern California, you have to be earning just tons and tons of money all the time, or you can't afford it. And that's why there's so many homeless people. It's just, it's insane how high the expenses are. One of the great things about Europe and the Netherlands and other places like that is that I've noticed, and this is just me having lived in both places for a long time, is that the freedom to create, a lot of young guys, young producers, young artists, their rent for their apartment certainly was, but it might be like 500 euros or less. They might have a student apartment. They're paying under 500 euros a month to rent, and a lot of other things are taken care of or free. So they're able to give their career that space to grow and to build something. Whereas in a place like this, the financial pressure is just so high that you can't just take a year off and make music, really. You have to have serious money to do that. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why, or one of the reasons why the Netherlands has so many DJs and artists and festivals, because they allow that space for people to do that.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons. I'm not sure because it also has. I think one of the most important things that it has to, it has to be in. You have to believe it, if you know what I mean. And if you want to become a DJ, I think it doesn't matter where you live. But to be honest, it's a financial thing, But yeah, I think when you want to, if you want to succeed, you have to you have to focus. You have to focus to do your thing. But yeah, nowadays I'm working as a marketing manager,
Yep.
but I'm also having enough space in my head to create music. Sometimes when I come from hard work, I go into my studio and produce a track. But you have to be free in your head, and that's especially what you're saying. If you don't have the finance to fund yourself, or it's difficult. It's really hard to create something stunning.
That
That's
makes
what
sense.
I also experienced.
Well, it's very cool. I think you have a great story. I'll wrap up with a quick ending question here, but I think it's really cool what you've done. Congratulations on building that next thing. Also finding a cool career that you like. I think that's awesome, man. I'm very, very excited to hear the new music. So send it over.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna send it over.
Very,
Yeah,
very excited to hear what you've been up to since.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that Color My Eyes on In Search of Sunrise 4, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, I was.
Which also might have coincidentally been Los Angeles. Is that correct?
I was Los Angeles. Yeah. Well, hey.
Wow.
Like
digging into the old memory bank. Yeah, we're finding a connection there. Very cool what you've been up to. I think it's awesome, man. I think it all makes a lot of sense, and I hope that there's people out there. There's stages of life. There's a lot of takeaways from this. The takeaway is that when you're young, you might make a different decision. When you're older, something else might make sense. And for me, it was also I was traveling in China, and that was the moment when I had a realization. When it was a particularly heavy pollution day, and I was sitting in a hotel room, and I was thinking like I just would rather be home right now, And then you have a thought with your kid, and you're like, I don't want to leave my kid every weekend. I don't want to fly away during these amazing years of their life. So there's a lot of stuff in what you're saying that I think is very real and very raw, and that people can learn from. So
yeah, what you're
cool
saying.
story.
Because, during the pandemic, I've experienced how worthwhile it is that I'm home with my kids. I don't have to travel time to Amsterdam because I'm now here with them.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also we've seen that a lot of the people who choose career over their family, they have a great career, but you often see that the family life suffers in some way. Either they get divorced, or they don't have a real connection with their wife, or their kids love them, but they don't have a real connection with their kids.
No.
If you're on the road 200 plus shows out of a year, and you see your kids like, oh, let's meet in in Spain for a day. Okay, see you in another few months. It's hard.
Well, it's in choose. You choose that life, and I think if you can choose, everyone decides different.
They choose for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it is justified. Maybe if you have enough fans, but your kids will hate you, they'll go to therapy. But maybe you have a million other people that you're benefiting their life, so maybe it's a trade-off. I don't know. To leave it, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Believe in yourself. Believe in what you do, and don't feel ignored when people are saying they don't like it. If you believe it, you will succeed it. That's what I think too, and that's what I try how to raise my kids. If you believe it, if you want it, if you feel it, go for it.
Cool.
Because sometimes my older son is saying, "Papa, I want to fly to the moon." Well, I say, okay, if you believe it, do you believe it? And I believe it. Yeah, I think so. But if you can, I think if you believe it, you will succeed. You fly to the moon or Mars, whatever, maybe with SpaceX, with Tesla. If you believe it, I believe it.
It's never been more likely than it is right now.
No.
Cool. Well, that'll wrap it up, my friend. Thank you very much for your time. Where can people find you? Social media, or what can they support of yours?
Yeah, of course. I've got an Instagram, DJ Mark Norman.
Okay.
Yeah, you show it.
Yep.
And if they want to follow me on my work, they go to my LinkedIn. And Twitter, I'm not that much on Twitter. So, and if they want to see where I was as a DJ, they go to my website, marknorman.com, and you can show it. So
Okay, I'll bring it all up on the screen. Very cool, man.
Cool,
Well, thank you so much
you.
for taking the time. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and good seeing you again. It's been really nice. I'm glad you're doing well and the family is okay.
Cool, Ross. Good to speak to you, Ed.
Likewise. Well, I'm going to say the podcast is officially over. Thanks for listening to the Beat the Often Path podcast. If you've been enjoying this show, please like, comment, share, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to me on YouTube. It would mean the world to me. Also, do you have an unusual success story or do you know someone who does? Well, please recommend them to me. They could be a future guest on this show. Maybe they've rolled the largest boulder down the mountains of Tibet, or maybe they built the world's largest chicken farm in Madagascar. The point is, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm looking for inspiration and unusual success stories. So help me by being a part of this adventure. I'm looking to grow this podcast with you. Thanks again for listening.